Let's get started. All right, thanks everyone for joining today. Today's live on ServiceNow webinar focused on maximizing ServiceNow investment, specifically with maximizing your Service Operations Workspace adoption, featuring two of our major products, Major Incident Management and On-Call Scheduling. And I'm also excited here today to have folks from ScreenMeet here, who are going to introduce themselves in a little bit as well, which is a partner of ours that integrates seamlessly with SOW and has a really cool applications that they're going to show you today in a live demo. Just to get started here, I think some of us are talking about it in the chat already. So knowledge is coming up. It's not too late to register. It's coming up in May 6th through 8th in Vegas. We hope to see you there. I'm very excited. It'll be my first time ever getting to go, having been a customer for a long time and now as an employee. And then also our two panelists as well today will be there as well. So without further ado, let's get moving here. So again, as I mentioned, this is the title of today's session, Maximizing Service Ops Workspace with On-Call Scheduling and Major Incident Management, featuring ScreenMeet, Intelligent Remote Support Integration Tool. We'll go introductions in a little bit. I just want to cover some housekeeping before we get to that. So please use the Q&A along the way. I'm very thankful to have many of my esteemed colleagues here today. We have Anmol and Nikhil, both are inbound product managers who work on the products we're going to demo you today. We have Pratyusha, who is one of our engineer leads, Paula, one of my outbound colleagues in SOW, and Shivaji as well as an engineer to help us out with Q&A. Thank you all for joining. And this recording will be shared on a community afterwards. If any of your colleagues couldn't make it or if you have to drop a little early, we'll make sure that you get the full recording when this is over. Safe harbor notice. There's may be some forward-looking statements in this presentation. The idea here is that nothing we say here is 100% concrete. We may share some anecdotes or some insights what we're working on roadmap, just for some insights, but please don't necessarily take it with a grain of salt. Don't necessarily make investment decisions off of things that we may mention today. We want to give you guys an idea about what we're working on, as a heads up there. So covering the agenda, in a second, we'll do welcome introductions. I have a couple slides here, just set the context. I'm not a big slide guy. We're excited to show you guys two live demos today, but just so make sure everyone has the context of those demos, we'll cover a couple slides. One of them is the old ways that our customers typically work today with on-call and major incident management. The next slide will cover ServiceNow's ITSM vision and putting our AI to work throughout the Service Ops Workspace. We'll show you an overview of that. And then we'll show you two overview slides on on-call and MIM. Both are reimagined products in SOW. And then I'll do a live demo of those products in action. It'll be a demo of the day in the life of a service desk agent, two different personas, looking at the landing page, configuring on-call scheduling, managing absence requests, setting up trigger rules, and then looking at incident and major incident management with Now Assist AI, wherever we can apply it, and then our Microsoft Teams integration. After that, I'll share with you folks, and again, this will be shared out to you later on, an adoption resources slide to help you with your adoption journey. Then I'll hand it to my partners over here at ScreenMeet, who will be doing a live demo along with the presentation. And then we'll wrap it up with some final Q&A. At the end, we aim to allow people to come off mute and then verbally ask us questions if they'd like to. So with that, as an introduction, my name is Digant Patel. I'm an outbound product manager here at ServiceNow. I've been in the company for about 14 months. I'm focused on Service Operations Workspace, also well-versed in our Now Assist generative AI, as that's infused throughout the workspace. And before joining ServiceNow last February, I was in your shoes as a customer for 8 years, working at one of our large financial accounts. So a lot of hands-on experience as an operator of ServiceNow, an implementer. I built a product over there for automating DevOps onboarding to our firm's standard CI/CD toolchain. It reduced the onboarding time from 30 days to 5 minutes for apps to get onto our toolchain. So really cool experience. I'm excited to be here today to share that passion with you folks. Hand it over to Ben for an intro.
Thanks, Tijan. I'm Ben Lilienthal. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ScreenMeet. ScreenMeet was started about 10 years ago. We had this vision that the platforms were going to win. And within the platform, there are a couple of key applications that needed to be ported in. Among them was remote takeover or remote support, where from a ServiceNow incident, you can actually get on the remote device and fix it. And so that's what we've been working on for the last decade. And thrilled to be here. ServiceNow is a customer as well as a strategic investor, and nice to see a few familiar names on the session. So look forward to hearing what Tijan has to say, and as well as Steve. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. My name's Steve Smith. I'm the Senior Director of Solutions Engineering at ScreenMeet. I've been with ScreenMeet now for just over 5 years, but I've been in the sort of IT remote support space for a lot longer, many years. And I'm looking forward to showing you how our solution will integrates with the Service Operations Workspace and will help you achieve better metrics.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Ben. Before we get moving here, I see Kelly and Antonella have their hands raised. Let me just let you guys come off of mute. Is there anything you wanted to ask Kelly or Antonella? Potentially sometimes accidental hand raise. Antonella, anything you wanted to ask us? I've taken you off. You just need to unmute if you wanted to ask anything, or feel free to use the chat. Oh, Kelly by accident. All good, Kelly. Welcome here. All right, no worries. We'll keep it moving then, folks. And again, at the end of the time, we want to allow as many people come off mute as possible and ask questions verbally. But until then, please use our Q&A along the way. So to get started here, these are two slides that I kind of handcrafted from my experience as a customer. My previous organizations operate this way, right? For our on-call scheduling, these were our different context switches or disparate tools that were involved whenever there was a major incident. The on-call information, many customers say today is in a spreadsheet somewhere. A lot of customers are paying additional costs for third-party tools, such as a PagerDuty or X Matters, where you can now mitigate that with our on-call offering SOW. These tools are disconnected for sending SMSs or mobile escalations. It can be challenging to fill unexpected absences last minute, difficult to maintain rotating rosters and shifts, and the lack of notification preferences, escalation triggers, and policies for when you want to automatically contact people on call based on certain conditions, like an incident is a P2, right? Automatically contact your on-call folks. Same sort of idea for major incident management. A lot of disparate context switching or swivel chairing, as we've been sort of calling it in our advertisements. So for a major incident, as a customer today, you might have the ServiceNow platform incident workbench open. You're filling out a form, right? In parallel, you might be trying to send a communication through Outlook. You might have several different tabs open for browsing ongoing changes, related incidents, or knowledge articles that might help you understand what's going on with that incident. These are all different context switches in the browser, right? You're manually creating messaging chats and you're manually establishing incident voice bridges for things with maybe like Everbridge or, our previous company had several different chat platforms and we use Everbridge for sending SMS notifications. So it's again, very disparate, not single sort of command center to manage everything. We had a middleman team over there managing incident bridges between different teams. So when a major incident occurred, we'd reach out to this technical operations center and say, please raise the major incident. Please contact the expert on call, get all the business stakeholders involved, the application teams to QA their applications. Again, very manual, very disparate. And then investigation typically requires production access, right? When there's a major incident, the only person that get on a production server is usually a person with operations role, not a developer, not a manager. This is for separation of roles. It's for audit, right? When audit does their yearly checks, they want to make sure the right people are getting onto your servers with the right reasons. So my previous company, we had a ticketing system where we put the incident number in and then someone had to approve it. It would take 15, 20 minutes to chase somebody to do that, especially if it's late in the evening and people have gone home for the day, things of that nature. I'll show you a way how you can sort of mitigate that and get production CI data right within the workspace in the live demo. Move along here. So this is ServiceNow has three strategic pillars that we're looking at: service resiliency, employee experience, and ITSM, IT productivity. So the one we're going to cover today is IT productivity. And on the right-hand side here are just some of the high-level outcomes that we hope to help deliver for you as customers. Be able to triage and resolve your incidents faster, automate your work and actions with recommended actions to suggest the best course of action based on machine learning of your historical incidents, what you've done there. It'll propose the next best course of action. Generating content, whether that's incident summarization to catch up really quickly, chat summarization, resolution notes, which a lot of times customers report that they have challenges with people just putting done or resolved. You obviously want to get some good resolution notes in there to contribute to that knowledge-centered feedback loop so that next time something that happens again, you have a better starting place than from scratch. And then optimizing your team schedules and skills using our on-call scheduling product. So there's some high-level outcomes that we're hoping to help you achieve. The next slide here. While this demo isn't specifically focused on our Now Assist or generative AI, as we mentioned, we all know today, it's everywhere. It's infused throughout our products, especially Service Ops Workspace, where most of the use cases exist because everyone uses ITSM, right? Every company needs to deal with major incidents and probably on call, whether you're a small company, medium, or large. So I won't go through everything here, but these are the different sort of use cases by personas or the pillars I mentioned, right? There's one for services, employee experience, and then IT productivity or operations teams. So things like um, using AI to create knowledge articles, right? Again, that's usually a nice to have after a major incident that you hope that your operations folks will, capture everything in a nice knowledge article, put it in your knowledge base. The next time it occurs, someone can just reference that as a run book, right? Nice to have, but because it takes quite a bit of time, right, to write that thing up, and we're so busy after the heat of the battle, fighting a fire all day, we may forget to do it, and it's a lot of manual effort to create it. But now our AI generation can do it within seconds. Post-instance summarization is another huge one. We actually just released some agentic AI around this as well. So in the demo today, I'll show you how it's generated without the agentic AI. But in the future, if you'd like to see a demo, we have Anmol here, who's doing a lot of work on that for our major incident management product. And then what else is worth mentioning here? Self-service resolutions using our AI. Again, the recommended actions. I'll show you that live in the demo. So let's keep it moving here. This is an overview of Service Ops Workspace if you haven't seen it before. So the idea is, and the best way to explain it to people is it's a command center, right? Some people call it a single pane of glass, but everything that you may be doing today disparately, you can now do in one command center or workspace or single pane of glass. From incidents, interactions, problems, changes, requests, on-call scheduling, reporting, sharing announcements to your team, like some training is due. Please make sure you complete it by a certain date. Everything is connected in a seamless end-to-end connectivity and a flow. You can automate routine tasks and ensuring service resiliency, and then build situational awareness around metrics with different data that we display. You can see on the homepage here, we have different cards that display things like SLA breaches, open assign incidents to yourself or your whole team, and then helping out with things like streamlining incident investigation. So that's a high-level overview, Ben. Don't worry too much about this. We'll cover it in the demo. But before we go forward into the product slides, I want to get a gauge on the audience here, where you're at today with your current SOW adoption. So let's launch a poll here and then just get a feel for where people are at today. And we're going to use this information to better tailor our content for you folks. So let me come here and launch polls. That should be launched now. Let's just take a minute or two, please, and launch in there. Looking to mature. Coming in quickly. Thank you, folks. Really engaging. I really appreciate it, guys and girls. A lot of people looking to mature their states. Awesome. Cool. That's awesome because many customers will come in SOW looking at one product or two, whether it's on-call, it's major incident management or interaction. And our goal is to help you connect the dots, right? So you can see the art of what's possible in a bigger spectrum. All right. We got about, wow, everyone's answered already. 115 answers. Sorry, we got 70% participation, about 50 people. Give you another minute or so here just to come on in. So most people are looking to mature their adoption or looking to plan and deploy in the next 6 months. Awesome. And for those that have come in with no official plans to adopt, we appreciate you being here as well. We hopefully can present to you a handful of things that make it worthwhile. All right. Some numbers still coming in here, so we want to give people a little minute here. All right, looks like we steadied out the numbers here. So I'll end the poll and then share the results. And we can see here, as I mentioned, most people looking to mature their use of SOW. That's great to hear. Again, we'll cover two of our most prevalent products, and then we'll allude to some other sessions we have in the future as well, if there's some advanced configuration that you're looking to adopt as well in future sessions. So let me stop sharing that, and we will continue on here. Cool. Thank you, everyone, for contributing to the poll. So on-call scheduling is very exciting. A lot of customers, even myself actually included, when I first joined the company, I only looked at it in this view, in this sort of nice, cool, color-coded, good UX, good UI manner. And then after I did a couple customer demos, one of them mentioned to me, so what's with the other product in the UI 16? And I didn't know about it, to be honest with you. And I looked at it, I'm like, wow, it's a really good thing that we invested in this because the older product was a bit clunky, wasn't really a good UI, it was harder to work with. This new product is a reimagined UI and UX in SOW. Everything from creating rosters, managing shifts, rotating those shifts, setting escalation triggers and policies is very seamlessly done. I'm going to show you a demo where I can do it in about 15 minutes about configuring everything. It reduces the complexity behind, setting up the rotations. It's very easy to change People, if someone wants to swap weeks, it's very easy to just drag and drop where they are on the schedule. And then I think one of the better features as well is setting notification preferences. So every person may have different sort of tendencies. Like on weekdays, they might want to be messaged on Microsoft Teams from 9 to 5, whenever there's an issue. And then in the evening, they want a phone call. Especially on the weekends, they might want a phone call because most of us are not on our computers on the weekend, right? So we have very easy to configure granular controls from both the user perspective and the admin perspective. As you as an admin are saying, initially, I want to trust my users to set their preference. And then if you look at reporting and then they're not tending to their initial preferred channel, you as an admin can come in and override their preferences. I say admin, but it's also the team manager or the assignment group manager. So moving along here, major incident management SOW is also a reimagined UI and user experience. So again, many of you probably have seen it in Workbench. This is a completely different look and feel. There's probably over 10 different utilities that you can exhaust to help you with your major incident management triage efforts that I'm going to show you in the demo. We have this right-hand side panel over here, which has things like recommended actions powered by our AI search. We have playbooks. We have integrations for collaboration. I'm going to show you in the demo Microsoft Teams integration, contacting an expert right there in the side panel. And then I'm going to also show you the investigation framework, which is based on our agent client collector service or Microsoft Endpoint Manager. The idea is that you deploy agents on your infrastructure, and then you can pull in those CI metrics right into ServiceOps Workspace. So I'll show you that in a minute in the demo. And actually, I think we are actually one more point here. One of my favorite things here is the automated post-incident report. So I personally felt the pain of, spending an entire day on a major incident. And then I'm like, oh, I'm excited to go home and have some dinner. And my manager is like, hold on a second. I need you to send me a recap of everything in Outlook email. And it just takes about another hour to do that. And it's not really standardized. You can imagine for a major incident, there's issues with the database, the hardware, the network. These are all going to be different post-incident reports in an Outlook email. But now we have a standardized PDF that everyone can just download and then send off to your executive team for review and getting an end-of-day status report generated. So with that, I'm very excited to get into the demo. Again, not much of a slide guy, but very excited to show you folks a demo. So in that live demo, we're going to be showing you the SOW landing page, a day in the life of a service desk agent, our on-call scheduling product. I'm going to configure a shift, set up the trigger rules and policies, manage absences, and then we'll go into creating an incident and seeing that on-call scheduling kick into effect. And we'll explore the different tools and utilities or bells and whistles of incident management in SOW. And then we'll make that incident a major incident and then show you what comes with that in SOW. I'll show you the Microsoft Teams integration, contacting the expert on call. And then throughout the whole demo, we'll be showing you our Now Assist generative AI for the art of what's possible. Even if you're not a customer today that's licensed for it, we want to show you what you can achieve if you did have it. So the two personas we'll have for the demo are Adelaide Vance and Alex Wilbur. Adelaide is going to be our on-call scheduling and major incident manager for the IT network engineering team. And Alex Wilbur reports to Adelaide. He's an expert on call for the IT network engineering team. I won't go into all these columns here, but the idea is that there's pre-existing challenges these personas deal with today. It's mainly around disparate tools and data and silos between different teams. And then some of the solutions that ServiceNow offers to alleviate those challenges that you may have today as a customer. And then the desired outcomes. The biggest one that we all aspire for is lower MTTR, mean time to resolution. When there are major incidents, less business impact, potential reputational impact if there's a major outage and you have a lot of customers that can't access your services, right? So we want to help you mitigate all that. So with that, let me get into the live demo. Let me come off of this screen. I'm going to load two more. Just bear with me 1 second. All right. Hey, well, can you just confirm you can see both my screens here that I'm sharing? Anyone or a panelist?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Just wanted to confirm. All right, folks. So I have two screens here. Oh, I got a bunch of thumbs up. Nice. Cool. Come here. Thank you all. The left-hand side is Adelaide Vance, and the right-hand side is Alex Wilbur. So let's start with Alex Wilbur, the day in the life of a service desk agent. So Alex has just come into work, and he wants to get an assessment of the lay of the land, right? What's going on as he comes into work today? The first thing that he might look at is his right-hand side announcement section, right? Where he can see that coming into work today, there's already been network issues reported on the East Coast where he's based, right? So he might have come in and work a little bit later. Let's say he's on the West Coast, right? That might make a little more sense. He's on the West Coast, 3 hours behind the East Coast. So he's just coming to work and he's seeing these outages. He's just going to keep a mental note about that. There's nothing necessarily assigned to him at the moment. Maybe there was a handover, but he's going to keep a mental note on that. If he wants to click on any of these, he can open up the record type here and get more of a view of that there. And also you can view each by a card view and see here there's major incidents and get some more detail there who they're assigned to. You can see this has been resolved already. So again, nothing for him to do at the moment. But as we know, especially network issues, they can flap. Something can be fixed, flap again an hour or two later, and then you're kind of back to resolving that incident. Below that, we have things like SLA breaches. You can also display upcoming changes or change tasks that the user might have to work on in this upcoming section, whether it's today, tomorrow. You can configure this to change it to be, throughout the week or the month. But it's more so things that this person will have to do in the next week or two, particularly for on-call, that pertain to them. And then below that, we have a quick link section where I put in something like runbooks. So even though knowledge base is pretty well integrated with the platform, some customers use different things like SharePoint or Confluence. So if your runbooks or your documents your agents need to refer to are external to ServiceNow, you can come in here and very easily just create a link there that will lead them to that runbook page. Lastly here, back to the middle of the screen, these different donuts, you have a very easy ability to configure this. So our engineering and our inbound team has worked very hard to make this as seamless as possible. It used to require a bit of scripting, but now it is all configuration on the screen. You're just dealing with tables and filters. You can change any of these different cards here pertaining to what you need. Maybe you want to display open problems or upcoming changes or requests. But for now, you can see we have instant SLA breaches, unassigned incidents to the team. You can also filter if, let's say per se, Alex was the team lead. He's not the manager, but he's the lead of this team. He's in charge of allocating work to his team. He can very easily come in here and look at unassigned incidents and requests and use filters to bulk assign them to people as needed. So that's just a brief look at the overview of the day in the life of a service desk agent, what they might walk into on their work day-to-day basis. The next thing we want to do is let's go ahead and set up on-call scheduling. So I've now switched over to Adelaide Vance, who's a team manager. You can see over here on the top left, these are all the assignment groups or teams that Adelaide is a manager of. So as a manager, you have one quick, easy way to view all of your on-call shift schedules and ability to edit them from this view right here. But for IT network engineering, let's go ahead and create a shift for the month of April. This loads up. Let's say just say IT network on call. And we're going to have that shift again go from the beginning of the month to the end of this month. And for now, you have the ability to repeat that schedule as you want on a daily or weekly basis. But for now, we will just not have a repeat. And we'll go ahead and create that shift. And you can see essentially a framework of that shift has come onto the schedule as a draft. The next thing that you want to do is staff that shift, right? So you're going to come over here to the right-hand side, and under this side panel, there's a members tab. You'll click that members tab. Before we staff it, I want to show you some other granular controls you have. You have the ability to change if the shift repeats on a daily or weekly basis. You can change the cadence, maybe every 2 weeks. Typically, I think a lot of customers do it on a weekly basis, maybe like 3 to 4 days. And then you also have the ability to change the day of the week it starts. By default, it would be, well, this case is the first day of the month, but the first day of the week is Sunday. So by default, it would rotate people on a Sunday. But you can also change it to whatever day your organization policies are. Now let's go ahead and start that shift. So I'm going to click new under add rotation. I'm going to have that shift align with the schedule we just set up. And my goal here is to get Alex Wilbur on the current week because we're going to contact him later on. So let me get a couple other folks here and then land Alex. I believe it's the 4th week. Yes. All right. So you can see Alex Wilbur has landed on the current day and the current week. And just to show you how easy it is to rotate people, let's say Abby and Adam wanted to swap weeks. We just come in here and drag and drop. And now Adam and Abby have swapped weeks. Alex is still down here. But of course, your organization or no organization probably will just rely on one person to tend to these potential major issues. So let's go ahead and add a secondary backup person. So below the initial rotation we created, we're going to add responder level, create new, and we'll add a secondary person in here. And there's a person named Caleb Manager, who's another manager of this team. And we will have him come in here as a backup, as a secondary. And you'll see Caleb will come in below all the primary folks. And that's pretty much it in terms of setting up that on-call shift as a framework, staffing with 1 or 2 primary people. If you have more layers, you can go higher. You can go tertiary, quaternary, and then words I've never heard of. So you can go up to the 10th layer of on-call people for staffing needs. But let me go ahead and save this shift and publish that. And you can see that the shift has change from draft to an official shift here. The next thing I want to show you is managing absences. So let's go flip over to Alex Wilbur and come over to the schedule. You can see that schedule has appeared. You can see he's on call. We're going to go ahead and create a new request. Let's say this Saturday, Alex has a doctor's appointment. So we'll pick Saturday all day. And this is one of the more useful features. Typically, people that are on call talk to each other. They swap shifts. My kid has a soccer game this Saturday. Can you swap with me and I'll take yours next Saturday, right? It happens all the time. And this takes the onus off the manager having to replace, especially when someone's sick, last minute coverage. So Alex can come in over here and propose somebody. Let's take Ravi and let's say doctor appointment, schedule that absence. And you can see over here on the right-hand side, Alex has a pending absence card with the proposed coverage. And then let's slot back to Adelaide and get the view on her side. Let's refresh this. And you can see if I come over here to the right-hand side to this required actions inbox, Adelaide should have a request from Alex, and there it is. You can see the request is here, and you can see on the calendar, there's already a pending absence here as well, so it draws visibility to that request here as well. So we're gonna go ahead and approve, and you can see that a proposed coverage. And this is very useful again if you're letting your staff propose coverages, you want to, as a manager, make sure the person that they're proposing is experienced enough to handle the duties of that on-call shift. So we'll approve that. And you'll see Ravi has swapped with Alex, but Alex's absence is still a marker on the calendar, so you can track it as a manager. So that is managing absences. Now let's move on to some more advanced capabilities of on-call scheduling. So above this counter icon, you have a Teams icon. In here as well, as a manager, you can get a high-level view of all your on-call shifts from one place, right? So you can see all the cards here, who's on call, when their duration is, the shift names, who's the manager of each of these different cards. So let's click into the IT network engineering one. You can see Alex is here on shift and the shift we just created. Most of these tabs here are straightforward. Details, very straightforward. The schedule tab is same as I just showed you before, but the other location, you have more screen real estate to work from. Team members, if somebody just joined the team a week or two ago and they're well versed in the network engineering field, you can come in here and just easily add them to the team and then put them on the on-call scheduling shift. And then related records, this is very useful because a lot of times when we get paged in the middle of the night, half asleep, we're like, why are we getting paged, right? So when you come in here, you have an aggregation of all relevant incidents, alerts, problem tasks, change requests that could have gone bad, right? So it gives you a starting point of where to look for why you're getting paged on call. Now, the most advanced capabilities and configurations is the triggers and policies. So triggers is effectively when a certain criteria is met, such as a P2 incident has come into the queue, automatically perform some action. So I've configured this a little bit ahead of time. And just to show you guys what's entailed here, we go to conditions, you can see incident priority is 2, and then advanced options. So ServiceNow ships hundreds of workflows out of the box. The one I've picked here is a very simple one. When the person that is on call gets paged and they accept the escalation, assign them that incident because they've acknowledged it. So it's a very simple out of the box workflow, but you can customize these and put in different ones that you need to. Maybe you need to send some information from the incident, custom fields into the incident, and then have the person acknowledge it. Anything that you need to do, you can customize that workflow here. And then after you configure the trigger, you would set a policy, right? So let's go ahead and create a new policy. Let's say P2 policy, and let's assign it to that shift we just created. And we're going to set that as a default. Let me just put a name here. Says default shift. And then steps. This is where you have some really granular controls. So let's say step 1, you're going to notify the primary person. If you wanted to do a round robin, rotate through every person that's part of the shift for that month, you could do that. But we won't do that for now. Here, you can notify, because a lot of times your executive team, they want to be aware when these issues happen, but they're not still going to be involved with the triage efforts, right? So here, you can add specific users. You can add the team executive manager, the whole executive management team when there's major network issues, right? So you can add people for visibility in here. You can notify the person's manager. So again, Alex's manager is Adelaide, so you can manage. I think there might be a level 2 setup here. Yep. So it goes a couple layers high. You can notify that person's manager as an FYI as well. And then here you get some reminder notifications. So the idea here is that after the first attempt, if the person doesn't respond within 15 minutes, let's try them one more time. And after that second attempt, if they don't respond, let's go to step 2, which would be the manager escalation. So let's say manager escalation. And in here, we're going to hit that secondary person as a responder level. And then in here, we'll just presume that's the end of the escalation tree. But again, with this, you can continue to go on as many steps as you need to as well. And then below there is where, as I mentioned, you can override user preferences. And actually, before I show you that, let me just show you that from the user side. Well, actually, let me finish this and I'll go to the user side in a second just to save this record. But you can come in here and you can set override preferences and add notification step. You can, so again, if your users initially said, I respond to Microsoft Teams on the weekends, even though I'm on a computer, and then you read the reports and they're not doing that, you can override it and just give them a phone call every time that this happens. But you can also give the Teams message as well, right? So you can kind of meet them halfway and say, you get the team message, but we also need to do a phone call to make sure that you're receiving the escalations. So for now, I'm going to do SMS because I have configured Twilio, which I'm going to show you in a minute when I generate an incident. And we're going to contact Alex Wilbur via SMS escalation and then show you that workflow. Before we do that, let me just show you the user preferences. So let's swap to Alex over here, back to the on-call scheduling shift on that home page under the calendar icon. This tab over here is notification preferences. So let's click that. And in here, there's 2 things that you can do. The one is your notification rules. So you can see here, weekday preference and weekend. On weekdays, typically you're on your computer, right? So Monday through Friday, let's say 9 to 5, I want that Teams message and maybe an email because I'm on my computer, right? But on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, I'm not on my computer and I want a phone call anytime there's an issue. So you get the idea there. And then delivery channels allows your users to put in secondary emails or phone numbers. Because in your system of record of ServiceNow, you probably just have their primary email and maybe a phone number. You almost certainly don't have their Gmail accounts, right? But in here, instead of you as a manager, team lead, process owner having to do this for hundreds of people, maybe thousands, you just send a broadcast information email saying, please go here. If you want a secondary, add it there yourselves. So it takes the onus off of you as the management team. So that is about it for on-call scheduling, setup, the rosters, the shifts, absence requests, setting trigger rules, escalation policies. Now let's see some of this in action. So let's go ahead and create a new incident. I have one here created from before that I'm just going to copy some details to save some time. So we're going to presume that these network issues Alex noticed earlier are reoccurring. This has happened. This is a real world scenario that happens many times where think something resolved and there's actually a wider spread underlying issue. So let's assign it to somebody here. I'm going to make this a P2 incident and assign it to the network engineering group. So there's network issues occurring at several East Coast office locations. Many of your employees have reported network issues and intermittent connectivity to internal applications. So let's go ahead and save this. And the first thing that I think we're going to see here, it might just take a second, is in this activity feed, we should see the escalation to Alex Wilbur because it's a P2 incident, right? And we set that trigger in policy. May just give it a refresh. Takes about a couple of seconds here. And you can see that the escalation plan has kicked off. So you can see first, they'll try Alex Wilbur, try him again. And if he doesn't respond, go to his manager. So you can see Alex has sent the SMS text. Let me go into details. You can see it's not currently assigned. But if I look at my phone here, I do have a text from Twilio. I don't think you'd be able to see it, maybe. I have a text from Twilio here. Effectively, it's saying, incident was escalated to you. Type ACC to acknowledge it and have it assigned to you, which I'll do right now. And keep an eye on the assigned to field. As soon as I hit send on this text, the field will change to Alex Wilbur and dynamically assign it to him. So there you go. That happened. And you can see in the activity feed, the escalation plan is canceled to prevent further escalations. You can see Alex Wilbur has acknowledged this. So Alex is now on this incident. The first thing that he may want to do is get up to speed. This is, of course, very useful when these are long-running incidents. So you can either use the Now Assist panel icon here, in-product icon here for summarize, or our panel icon in the top right, which has a lot more options. So I'm going to use this one for now to show you some of those options. And as this loads, let's give it a sec. Refresh. It's been a little while since I've been on this incident. There we go. Okay. So you can see there's like answers to question about this incident, right? Then later we'll show you generated KB article. Let's answer questions about an incident, right? So there's different options here, such as what are the caller's assets? This is very useful. For example, if your head of sales had a big meeting and they missed a piece of software right before that meeting, well, you can click this and say, okay, well, when was that piece of software last installed? What laptop do they have, right? Is there a known bug going around with that laptop right now? You can get an idea about that. You can view recent incidents to that caller. You can view the experts on call or similar resolved incidents. So that gives you an idea about maybe a starting place about where you can go from this incident. But let's reset this and let's do the summarization. And you can see summarize a record down here, and this should give us a brief synopsis about what has all occurred on this incident so far. All right, so you can see here, it's got the summary of the issue, the key actions taken, right? The escalation plan. So that way, if someone comes into this kind of blind, they're like, all right, well, someone was already paged on call. I don't need to do that myself, right? So you get to speed really quickly. We have information on SLAs here, right? So all the different details that this person may need to be aware about. So this is a quick way to get up to speed on the incident. The next thing I want to show you is coming on over here to our right-hand side, that's sort of along the same lines, is recommended actions. So click on this bell icon. The idea is here, based on your historical incident data, our machine learning will suggest the next best course of action based on what you've done previously in these scenarios. So you see the top option here is a synthesized response from our AI. It's pretty much trying to give you a full comprehensive step-by-step direction. We can see this one's not necessarily particular to this scenario. So we're gonna keep scrolling. The next thing you see here is that there's problems open, right? This might be an issue that was well known already. There's known error articles for it. So maybe you don't have to do anything for this incident and you just connect it to that problem. Similarly, below that, potential major incident candidate. So this is saying that based on 5 similar incidents with similar impact recently, you may want to propose this a major incident, because that's what you've done historically. Or you might already have a major incident open. This happens all the time as well, right? When these issues occur, you have different channels of people submitting requests, and you effectively just need to link those different new incidents as a child to that parent incident. So you can very seamlessly and easily do that from here. And then the other ones below are also problems as well. So you get the idea here. Taking it a step further is our AI search. So AI search is like a ChatGPT experience where it's like, here's a body of text. Find me in that body of text specific information. That's our AI search, right? So you can filter by knowledge articles or problem records and get pinpoint information that might actually guide you towards a resolution of what's going on currently. So as a recommended actions, below that, well, actually, I'll go to the experts on call in a little bit. The next thing I want to show you is our investigation framework, which I have configured on a different server. So again, this is still an incident. So before it becomes a major incident, we want to exhaust all the different utilities that we have to prevent it from becoming major, because we all know major incidents have major implications, right? Financial impact, things, services down for your customers. So let's go here to this other server that I have here. What I've done in the investigation framework, I've added a related record, a CI, that we already have some data populated for and the agent deployed on that CI. It's a Windows ordering server for ordering new products off a company application or website. And what we're going to do is we're going to select that CI, and you can see, voila, all the resource metrics from that server have came into the workspace. So as I mentioned earlier in the call, this can mitigate the need for someone with ops production access for ever having to go onto a server. I say ever is a little bit probably of a stretch. Maybe occasionally there's gonna be scenarios where this won't necessarily help you. But you can see for now, memory is spiked, disk is spiked, and below that, they have the ability to kill long-running processes, which not 7 out of 10 times a major incident is because something went haywire, right? Some code got deployed, it's taking too much Java heap memory, or a process has gone haywire. And you have the ability right from within here to kill that long-running process and potentially resolve an incident from becoming a major at all. So that's our investigation framework, again, powered by Agent Client Collector, which is a ServiceNow offering, or Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Now let's come back here, and I think I've shown you everything I wanted to show to exhaust from preventing this from becoming a major incident. So let's go ahead and promote this to a major incident, and then show you some of the bells and whistles that come with that. So let's hit promote. Let's say widespread company impact. Promote to major incident. Keep an eye on these 4 tabs up here. There'll be 2 new ones that will appear, specific to major incident management in Service Ops Workspace. I think we're about the 45-minute mark, so I'll be wrapped up here about 5-10 minutes, Steve and Ben. Just a little heads up. All right, so this is now a major incident. You can see here, major incident state accepted. We have 2 new tabs that have appeared, communicate, which is fairly straightforward. But the idea here is that what I've got configured is a communication template. So based on this being a P2 incident, you can do whatever criteria that meets your needs. you can automatically generate a communication plan to ensure that your agents are sending timely and effective communications to the right audiences. So the initial tech comm, the periodic tech comm is something that typically gets lost. That's meant to be sent out every 30 minutes or so, just giving the impacted users an update on what's going on. Oftentimes the same person might be fighting the fire responsible for the communication, so they can kind of get lost in those efforts. So this ensures that doesn't get lost. You can see there's timers built in. You also have the ability to set ad hoc communications as well. So I'll come in here and show you that. And we have a lot of templates that we ship out of the box, which you can configure. So you can do email, SMS. We are also incorporating Slack in our roadmap, Zoom as well. So these are email templates. You can see I'll pick one here. Let's do initial communication technical. And you can see it's pulled in all the relevant fields and populated the values. And again, it's very easy from our admin center for you to come in here and add any other fields that you want to capture in those email communications and customize that template for your organization. So that's email communications or SMS, communication templates and plans. Lastly here, if you use Employee Center, right from within here, you can manage the announcement banners that get posted on the Employee Center right from within here. The idea is that I personally, I felt this pain myself. I've been staffed alone in the East Coast for a major incident, and my colleagues are in UK or Asia, and something goes down, and I got 10 incidents in 10 minutes. I have 5 pings, 3 phone calls. I go to use the restroom. People are talking to me in the hallway, like, Degant, do you know that the server's down? You can't escape it, right? But the idea is to get all of those disparate channels into one funnel into one location, right? So you could train your organization. Amazon does this very well, right? Whenever there's issues with any of their AWS resources, they have one web page where we all know to go to look for updates, and they have people updating them very regularly with the latest updates. That's the idea with this button connecting to your employee center. Next, I'll show you Playbook. So Playbook is like if you've used Ansible, similar idea, right? We ship these out of the box, the major incident advanced one. And these ones effectively capture the major milestones of a major incident, review the situation, send the communications, collaborate, which I'll show you in a second, with an expert on call, eventually resolve it, and that post-incident report. The idea here is that you, over time, can mature this and incorporate your technical triage steps in here, such as, like, let's say when a service is down on a server, you're just running a little script command to restart that service, right? You can put that script command in here initially, maybe manually, your agents go run it. And then over time, using a remedial action framework, you can automate the whole process. So anytime you have incidents because a service is down on a server, you may never need a human to even look at that incident, because the playbook will fully automate and resolve that. So that is the tabs up here. The next thing I want to show you, one of the things I'm most excited to show, is the content expert on call via Microsoft Teams. So over here, the right-hand side panel, experts on call. We will find that expert on call shift we created, IT network on call. You can see Alex and Caleb are on call. Now let's go ahead and get a hold of Alex on Teams. Before I do Teams, I just want to show you that we also have sidebar built in here. This is our built-in messaging in the ServiceNow platform. So I'll just show you that really quickly, because if your users, I know it's a bit rare, but if your users are mainly in ServiceNow, they can stay within ServiceNow for these issues. So we can see Alex will have a new chat from Adelaide, and they're chatting side by side within the platform. So Adelaide, and there they are within the platform chatting on a major issue. But let me now show you Teams, which is typically a more common use case. So let's start a Teams chat. And I have the Teams open in my browser, so it doesn't open my local Teams application. And we can see up here, we have a new chat that's been created with the incident number and a description, a short description of the issue. So let's say, hi, Alex. And when I do that, keep an eye on the right-hand side over here. And you can see Alex has a new message from Adelaide as a notification. He'll just say quick response. Hello, Adelaide, I'm checking. And you can see they're up back and forth chatting about the issue. And just pull up here, and there they are. So that's a quick chat for your expert on call. But now let me show you something a little more powerful, which is our collaboration for conference bridges. So the experts on call tab here effectively will show you the chat channels you can engage. If you go one below that, the collaborate section, you can also initiate chats from here. You can view the chats bidirectionally. So if you click this chat icon, you can see the chat history back into ServiceNow. And the idea is that over time, we will summarize that chat using our AI and put the highlights of that into the post-incident report. But now let's initiate a call. So come over to the call section here, and we're going to start a Microsoft Teams meeting. And let's just get Alex added in here. and start that. In a couple seconds here, we will see both of them receive a notification for the conference bridge. And there it is. They both received it. Let me mute this to prevent the echo. Allow that. And you'll see them both have joined a conference bridge. And the idea here is that this is all fully automated, right? So from the moment a P2 incident occurs, you kick off the automated escalation to your on-call expert via the on-call trigger rules I showed you. And then you also automatically initiate the chat bridge and the audio bridge, right? Because those are both, all of those are always needed anytime there's a major incident. And most organizations today are probably spending, I've personally spent up to an hour when there's a major incident, manually getting all the right stakeholders, engineers, application QA on the call. You can do it now within minutes, right? So that's the idea. So you alleviate a ton of time from business impact and get right to solving the issue. So with that, I think now I want to bring us home here, and let's presume that those two are on the call. Well, I'll just show you real quick how easy it's to add more participants. You can copy the invite and share it out in a broadcast channel, so you don't have to kind of manually add everybody into it. But let's say Alex and Allie have worked through the issue, and they're now ready to resolve that major incident. So let's click resolve, bring us home. And the first thing you'll see is that our Now Assist has generated very comprehensive resolution notes. Again, this is something that many companies say people are saying done or resolved, and that's not helpful for the next person that has to deal with a similar issue, right? So the resolution notes are auto-generated. Let's say one has been provided. Let's resolve that and keep an eye on these tabs. We have one of our also most powerful and valuable features here, which is a post-incident report. So click on that tab. Again, this is something also that takes hours to generate this post-incident report. It's an Outlook email. It's not formatted. There's no standard formatting. So let's say Alex has to go home now. It's end of his shift. He wants to add his coworker in Asia region to take over this report and finish reviewing it and then send it off to the manager. So he's coming out a contributor to finish reviewing this. It's captured all the incident summary, the resolution steps. There's a timeline down here, which capture all the major incident milestones, when it was created, when it got promoted to a major incident, resolved. Again, our Now Assist is going to continue to evolve this timeline and pull in things from the activity field and your Teams chats. Because in the Teams chat, Alex might have told Adelaide, hey, Adelaide, I contacted the network vendor. They provide us an RCA. It'll take a couple days to understand what fully happened, right? That's in a chat somewhere, all right? So instead of someone comb through that chat, our AI will pull it out, put it into this report. But for now, or if you don't have it, you can manually add that in here. So the contacted network vendor, add that to the timeline, and then that's about it. Now we will go ahead and preview this so you can see what it looks like. Download that. Man, Steve, I don't know if it's just in the UK. It looks like some internet issues are happening around the globe. Mine's a little bit slower than usual, but no worries. We're almost hit home here. Let me just show you this PDF report. And there it is. Very nicely standardized formatted PDF report. And again, the idea is that many times your executive team will have 5 of these, right? Coming from database, network, operating system team, etc. So that's a post-incident report. Now, lastly, another one of my favorite things to show you is generating that knowledge article. So this incident is resolved. So let's come back over here and come back to our Now Assist panel. Just give it a refresh. And we will generate a knowledge article to preserve all this information and foster that knowledge-centered service feedback loop. So what you can see within seconds, we didn't put a lot of information to this incident, but it has synthesized everything and generated a knowledge article. And there it is. You can see there's a problem, the root cause, steps to resolve. And of course, you can edit this and make sure everything's good or add additional information as you need to, and then publish it to your knowledge base. So with that, I think that's everything I wanted to show you folks from my portion of the demo. So let me just come back to the slide deck here and show you this one, which is our resources slide, which again, we'll share this deck out with you after. But a lot of good resources here for you to kind of effectively do what I just showed you here today. We have configuration guides. We have our boot camp, which I highly recommend. It's a 6-hour boot camp. It comes with a free lab instance. So you go through our boot camp, and then on the right-hand side, you have your lab instance, and you configure things in parallel. And I'm telling you, within 6 hours, you can get a really good advanced experience with the Service Ops Workspace configuration. Go back to your organization, and you really help spread the innovation there. So with that, I want to hand it over to Steve from ScreenMeet. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Digant. And yeah, similar vein to Digan, we've got just a couple of slides, and then I'm going to get into a demo. And obviously, what we're going to be looking at today is screen sharing, remote support, right from the Service Operations Workspace. So if you can go to the next slide, Digan.
Yep.
And obviously, the main reason you've attended this webinar is to look at Service Operations Workspace. And based on the poll earlier, there's a lot of you who are looking to mature what you're doing with SOW and also implement, over the next few months. I also wouldn't mind betting that most of you are using a remote support tool today, probably outside of ServiceNow. Maybe if you use that reaction tool in Zoom and show some thumbs up just to verify that would be useful. So what we're finding when we're talking to customers is how they want to integrate the whole remote support cycle into a workflow. So all the great stuff that Digant has been showing you within SOW, not having to leave ServiceNow for anything, we want to show you that experience with remote support as well. So the next slide, please, Digant.
Yeah, just before you get too far in, it's not just the workflow, it's also the authentication, all the data from the sessions, the AI, and the reporting. So, it's the full package embedded within the platform as opposed to having to chair swivel. Thanks, sorry to interrupt.
So we're going to hop into a demo. I'll start sharing my screen. We're going to do a demo of a remote support session. I'm also going to show you how the integration takes place because, integration, some products there's a high level of effort, some there aren't. So we're going to show you how that actually gets configured. Then we're going to talk about authentication and how that reduces risk for your organization. We'll do a remote support session. We'll do some mock troubleshooting, and we'll leverage some AI tools. These are ScreenMeet AI tools to demonstrate that. And then we'll look at the data that's captured back within the incident in SOW and how you can leverage that in reports and dashboards and analytics. So let me share my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Thank you, Digant. So obviously what you're looking at here is Service Operations Workspace. I've got an incident that's open. Let me just move these Zoom cameras. And over here on the sidebar, you'll see the ScreenMeet component. We've got a couple of products in here, but we're going to focus on this one, which is remote support. But before we get into the session, let me just show you how we got to this point. So we are an app in the ServiceNow store. You can install this app into any of your environments, lower environments to try out. But once you've installed it, there's a guided setup. So you go through the process, you'd search for ScreenMeet, you click on guided setup. And I want to show you how simple this is. There's essentially 3 steps. The first one is all about assigning user roles. So this comes back to what Ben was saying about authentication. You can only use ScreenMeet if you have the ScreenMeet roles assigned to yourself or the groups within ServiceNow. So part of the installation will create these roles. There's a couple of different main roles. One is an agent, so that will be for the service desk operators who are going to use ScreenMeet and do what we're going to do in the demo. And then there's sort of an administrative role as well, which gives additional access to things like session history and also the kind of functions that are involved or that are enabled, I should say, for the agents in session. So that's step 1, assigning roles, really simple. Step 2, really, this is kind of the brains of it. So there's a services account that doesn't require a fulfiller license in ServiceNow, but it will be a web services API account only. And that will have a couple of ScreenMeet roles assigned to it. And that will manage the API calls between the ServiceNow instance and the ScreenMeet account. And also, importantly, the authentication of the end user or the agent based on the roles that have been assigned. So those are the 2 critical steps to set up that relationship. And then the third step really just depends on the view that you're using. And in this example, of course, we're going to do it from SOW. So we add the ScreenMeet component to the sidebar. We add a related list to capture session information. But also, as we saw from the poll, some of you are probably still using the classic UI or regular agent workspace. It'll run from there as well. So it's a very simple installation. You'll be able to do this in less than 30 minutes. I can do it in like 10, but I've done it a few times. So it just gives you an example. It's really low level of effort. So let's get into a remote support session. All right, so in this example, we are going to troubleshoot a PC that's running slow, okay? Pretty, simple troubleshooting step, and we're going to use AI to help us do that. And we're going to get some summary notes afterwards. So I'm going to start my remote support session. And as this is a demo account, I have different options that I can show as to how the sessions can actually start up. Of course, we want remote control because we're going to fix the machine. We're going to start with admin. I'll talk a little bit about that when we get into the session. And this is generally how, as a service desk agent, you'll have elevated permissions over the end user that's logged in without impacting the permissions that they have. And we're also going to record the session as well. So we'll have an MP4 at the end of this session. So when we start the session, we'll end up with a couple of pieces of information. One will be a PIN and one will be a URL that includes the PIN. And so how we share this depends on the method of communication. So if you're using, in the example that Digant showed with Teams, you could share the link via Teams chat, and they'll click on the link to join the session. If it's through any other digital exchange, whether that's ServiceNow chat or email, I'm guessing many of you support multiple channels coming in, or the employee service center as well. You send the link. If it's a good old-fashioned phone call, you can use the PIN. And we're going to do the good old-fashioned phone call method. So I'll show you the end user experience. So just this screen that you're looking at now is the end user. It's just a Windows machine running as a VM on my Mac. But in this example, I've deployed the ScreenMeet client. Now for the end user, there are a couple of different ways to get into session. If you are supporting end users on devices that you manage, and by that I mean devices that you can deploy software to, most of our customers will deploy the ScreenMeet client, okay, but it isn't a requirement. And the reason they do that is because there's no need for a download then, and it makes it quicker to get into session, probably by about 15-20 seconds, but a better experience as well. If you don't deploy a client, there's an on-demand download. So you'd send someone to a URL, they'd enter the PIN, they get an on-demand download, they get into session. Or obviously, if they've clicked the link, it will do all that for them, either execute what you've deployed or trigger a download. So let me enter that PIN manually. So 847096. Now, this is an attended session, so this is human to human. We also have an unattended version of this. Functionality is identical. It's just a method of connection that's different. So keep that in mind. So now I'll submit that code. It's going to authenticate that that's a valid code. The end user will then be presented with a dialog box to acknowledge connection based on the startup parameters that we chose, which were obviously remote control, recording, and admin level access. And then once they allow that, we'll put them into session. And then if you keep an eye over here on the right-hand side in ServiceNow, you'll see that ScreenMeet component has now turned to view screen. So let me minimize that because we don't need that anymore. So now from an agent perspective back in ServiceNow, I click on view screen. It's going to open a tab in a browser. It's entirely browser based for the service desk agent. And now we have full remote control of that end user's device. Okay. Our infrastructure is entirely over AWS. We're in 12 global data centers, and the data center that's chosen will be determined at the time the session is initiated based on best performance for least latent. Over here on the right hand side we have a robust set of tools that the agent can use to help them through the session. As you can see here, one is AI. I will come on to that in a little bit. I want to show you a couple of other things. first. This one in particular, we talked about admin level access, and this is sometimes challenging in remote support sessions with other solutions, and the characteristics, the way it behaves. But you'll see in this one, we've got full admin permissions, and that's because I've deployed the client to that machine. Had it been an on-demand download, it would depend on the logged in user. But the key messaging is that regardless of how the session starts, I would be able to elevate the session to an admin level. You'll also notice in here the functions are, the same as if I went and searched down through Windows or through Control Panel or something. All those functions are the same there. The advantage of running from here is, well, several-fold. First of all, there'll be an audit trail of what we launch from here, which we'll look at when we go back into the incident. Also, they will run as admin level from here, regardless of the logged in user. So if I was to launch something like a registry editor from here directly from Windows, it's going to run with whoever's logged in with their permissions. If I run it from here, it's going to run as an admin. There's also the ability to create scripts as well in the back-end console. So these will show up as shortcuts. So if there are scripts command lines that you commonly run during sessions when you're connected, for ease of use and for efficiency, you can configure those in the back-end. They'll show up here as shortcuts. So if I click on this device drivers, it's going to execute my device drivers list. So there's a ton of functionality in here, a ton of benefits for using this function, as well as being able to reboot and get into session as well without having to start new ScreenMeet sessions. It's just going to connect when that machine comes back up. Okay, so one of the functions that is really useful in here is this ability to bring in others. In Digant's demo, he showed collaboration there using Teams. With this, you can bring others into the session by providing this URL. So whether you need to bring in extra help, subject matter experts, and have a swarm fix, or whether you simply need to bring in a level 2 agent and do a warm transfer. So when somebody else joins, I could actually leave the session and move on to other incidents and let that more qualified person resolve this issue. But again, the main point is for the end user, they remain in that first contact, and you're just bringing in the relevant resources to get that issue fixed. There will also be an audit trail here of who joins the session as well, because it would allow them in. So if Digant joined this session, it would say Digant wants to join, and I would allow them. So we'd have that audit trail. So that's a really useful feature there to help resolve those issues on that first contact. And there are other things, of course, like file transfer, multi-monitor support. But we're going to take a look at some of the AI functionality on here. So the first thing we have is AI Assist. And this is there to help the agent to make them more efficient troubleshooting and resolving that issue. Also, bear in mind that the end user can't see this dialog box or any of these tools. So you can ask any question in here without fear of embarrassment. And I bring that up because that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to enter a very basic question. So if we just switch back to the incident for a minute as a reminder, you'll see that the description in the incident is a slow running PC. So when I submit a query in here, it's going to submit this with some contextual information. One will be partly from the incident, and one will obviously be from the type of machine that we're submitting this from. So this should provide me with some troubleshooting steps to take to troubleshoot a slow running PC on a Windows machine, which of course it does. So I know this is very basic, but the idea is just to show you where it's pulling that information from and the type of response that is given. So we're going to go through a couple of these steps. The first one we'll do is Windows Tools, and we're going to open our Task Manager. So we're going to Task Manager. It's pretty much what you do anyway without that, and then we're going to reprioritize the list of the CPU performance there. I'm going to call up a performance graph here just to take a look at the CPU. And then I'm also going to attach that graph to the AI Assist. And I'm going to say, how does my CPU look? And hopefully it's going to report back that my CPU is fine. We know it is anyway, because we can see. But it says your CPU usage looks good. It's normal at 13%. That doesn't appear to be the cause of any slowdown. So now I know to look somewhere else for that issue, whether that's memory, whether that's cleaning up startup apps, anything. Okay. Now I also might want to grab that screenshot and add it to my incident just as a reference. So I can use this screenshot function, capture that. And when we go back to the incident, we'll see that screenshot in the activity stream. Okay, so I'm going to run a couple of other things. And again, the idea is so we can generate some information in here so that we get a summary afterwards. So as I say, this is kind of mock troubleshooting. So I'm going to go into our disk cleanup. I'm going to delete a few files. Okay, and then the other part of the incident in the longer description, which you may not have seen, was it had a slow internet as well. So I'm going to do a speed test. And the reason I do this is because obviously the other applications we've launched are operating system applications, and this is a third party, but we'll still have that information in the summary. So the way that we get the information to submit to the LLM is via the accessibility APIs. So what I mean by that is that by accessibility is applications that support visually impaired, for example. So they might announce what's happening. So we use those APIs as part of the contextual data that gets submitted to the LLM to provide the summary at the end. Okay, so that's a couple of things that we've done to do some troubleshooting. In an ideal world, it's Windows. We might want to reboot this machine to test everything's working, but in the interest of time, we're not going to do that for this demo. And by the way, obviously, this is Windows. We also have a client for Mac, Linux, iOS, and Android. So, you can connect to those devices. But let's end this session. And now it's going to ask us if we want to generate an AI summary. And with this configuration that I'm showing here, we've got the ability to do this human in the loop to review this session summary and generate that. But you can actually bypass this and just have AI create those notes and submit them directly to the incident. But for this, I have a prompt hint that's set for this account that says, give me a 2-sentence summary of what I did in the session, followed by the steps taken. So again, you'll see the troubleshooting session involving checking system drivers, managing resources, cleaning up unnecessary files, and running a speed test. And then the steps that were actually taken here. Of course, you could regenerate this. We could ask for timestamps, more details, different language, anything really to regenerate that. But once we're happy with that, that format, we'll submit that as a note. And then we'll go back into our incident. And there you'll see that information added into the work notes and into the activity stream. So straight away, I think even Digga, you touched on this as well. Rather than avoiding that comment of done, resolved, that that takes that away. You've got uniform notes in that session that's clear to everyone what happened in that session. Additionally, if you are using Now Assist, and I should state this isn't dependent on Now Assist. In fact, this instance doesn't have Now Assist. But again, looking at what we've just seen in the previous demos, using this information in things like generating knowledge articles, creating a summarization of the incident, resolution notes, using an AI search, all this information can be used in there as well. So this will complement Now Assist, but isn't dependent on it. We also have customers as well that look at this information to identify improvements if there are improvements in the process. So, and obviously in longer screen sharing sessions, there may be steps in there that were unnecessary and didn't need to be taken, or steps that should have been taken to improve the resolution time and to improve the experience. So all the information in here can be used for benefit, not just being able to see what happened, but bigger benefits as well. As we look further down this activity stream, you'll see here we have the screenshot that I took of the performance graph. So that's in the incident, and this is actually an attachment in ServiceNow, so this doesn't exist anywhere else. We also have an MP4 because we recorded that session. That is also an attachment. This goes back to what Ben was saying at the very beginning before the demo. It's important, obviously, that the data is within your control. So we have options to store the data just as they are here, directly in ServiceNow as an attachment, or in your own AWS S3 or Azure Blob storage. Okay, so it can be configured to write those files there. And in that example, you'd have a link to the URL to access those files. But again, you've got choices. So obviously, different organizations have different requirements for data compliance, data residency, geographic requirements. So we enable you to store these files exactly where you want them to be. So that's the AI portion, and then we go into some more detailed logs. So we add a ScreenMeet session to our related list. And the first entry really will just show you the length of time. A, you had a ScreenMeet session, and B, it lasted 8 minutes. But we can dig down further into that. So this next screen will show sort of start time, end time, the type of machine that was actually connected to. And if we were storing files in the cloud, you would have a link to the URL here as well. So that's another view, and then we get really down into the weeds. So these are the event logs. So this will be a complete audit trail of what happened in that session and what functions were actually launched. So the first few entries will be, when the session started, and that we started with admin, and then the functions that were actually executed. So if you remember, we launched the device drivers, we initiated the agent invite, but nobody joined. So you have that audit trail. We also have the device information of the end user's device that we connected to as well. So there's hardware spec software that exists on that machine. And again, because all this data exists in ServiceNow, you can use it to build reports, dashboards to show how your ScreenMeet sessions are improving your incident management. There is an out-of-box dashboard, which I'll show you now, which shows all the ScreenMeet sessions over a period of time and the duration of those sessions. So even just by this, you can see how the utilization of the solution and the duration, where they initiate from. They probably mostly incidents, but we're not restricted to incidents. It could be an interaction, it could be any other task. So you'd see where the session initiated from. And again, the type of machine and OS that was connected to. So again, you can identify trends as to where the bulk of your incidents are coming from. So that's a really, really quick demo to show you the advantages of that. I'm going to just stop sharing, Dijon. If you can share those last couple of slides, that would be helpful.
Yep.
Just to recap. So the one prior to that is, so this one. So as I say, with the summary and the AI assist, you are enabling agents to create better documentation. You could also change the word better to just have documentation, because instead of putting done or resolved, it's clear what happened there. And then you can use with Now Assist, as I say, that information can be used in knowledge article creations, creating summaries for the incident, training chatbots. So there's a lot of value add for Now Assist, as well as identifying process improvements. And then the last slide, Digant, please. is really, this is ServiceNow are a customer of ours, okay, and they had a legacy tool prior to switching to ScreenMeet. They wanted to have a tool that integrated with ServiceNow to stop agents having to leave ServiceNow, to have data and authentication all in the same place to minimize that risk. And so when they switched to ScreenMeet, the most interesting number for me on there is that 3x increased adoption. So they used ScreenMeet 3 times more than the previous tool, not because they had 3 times as many incidents, but just because there's a button there and it fits in that workflow. And so because they're using the tool more, it then has that positive knock-on effect of increasing first contact resolution and reducing costs. Yeah, so that's ScreenMeet. I think we're going to take some questions at the end. There's a QR code there to visit our website, and Ben and my contact details on there. But as I say, it's an app in the store. If you wanted to go and kick the tires, install it from the store, like I say, less than 30 minutes, and you'll be up and running, being able to do what I've just shown you in this demo.
Thank you, Steve. That was awesome. Really cool to see all the integration with ServiceNow and ScreenMeet. And I think there's a couple questions in the chat, Steve. If you don't mind just taking a quick look at those. I'm going to finish off the slides here, and then we'll hopefully have a couple minutes here at the end for folks to come off mute and ask some questions verbally. So we have one more poll here, folks. So we wanted to just get an assessment in terms of how this whole session was for you. Was it useful in terms of probably propelling your adoption of SOW? And we'll take this feedback and continue to iterate on future sessions accordingly. So let me launch that poll now. Just please provide your feedback in here, how this session went for you folks. And then we'll keep things moving along here. We got some yeses. Oh, love the feedback here, folks. Thank you. Some people are unsure. It's okay. You know, there's more things that we can show you. Those are just 2 of our main popular products today in SOW. I believe after this session as well, you'll get a survey. Just please provide your feedback on that. Again, we're constantly looking to improve our content and our offerings to make sure that we're maximizing your time, right? In terms of, we really appreciate you guys coming out, and we want to help you in every way possible. Again, haven't been a customer previously. I used to do everything in UI16 with, you know, I was the guy who had to do an incident and send the communications in Outlook and also fight the fire at the same time with my one self. And with SOW, it's more realistically possible, right? With everything at your fingertips in one command center versus everything disparately and disconnected. Just give it like another minute or so here. Steve, maybe you want to, while we look at this poll question here, there's a couple questions that came in. I think some good ones for ScreenMeet. What provision does ScreenMeet have for screenshots, which may include E5? Okay.
Yeah, so that's a great question, Jenny. So the session metadata itself won't contain any PHI, PII, but you're quite right. A screenshot or indeed a recording could, because it's obviously the content of the screen. And so that's why we give you that option of storing those files in your environment, because that's the only kind of that's the only file that could potentially contain any of that data. So you, like I say, store that in your own ServiceNow instance or in your own cloud. It won't exist anywhere else. Okay. Or you can disable those functions. That's another thing, of course. Everything I have is enabled, but there are functions that you can disable. Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. And with that, we'll wrap this poll up, folks, here. Just keep it moving and hopefully getting some time for people coming off mute. We got some unsure people here, that's great to know as well. You know, we're going to continue to make sure we maximize what we offer here to make sure we're catching your interest that pertain to your organization. So I'm end that poll here. And let me just cover a couple quick slides of our offerings here. So one, these are some of our offerings. If you as a customer have been maybe struggling or you're low on bandwidth or resources to adopt some of this innovation, but you really believe it'll help your organization, ServiceNow offers things like Impact, which will help you through your adoption journey. We have training and certification programs and expert services. So I'll just leave this here for a couple seconds. Feel free to take a screenshot of this or scan the QR codes. But again, we'll send these slides out to you as well after the presentation. And then lastly, we have one more about how can you as a customer contribute more to our products and our roadmap. So this is our product lab that we offer. So again, please feel free to scan this QR code and sign up if you'd like to participate in we're helping shape the products that we deliver to you as customers. And I think there's a URL in here that I just want to share in the chat in case for some reason you can't scan the QR code. So let me drop that in the chat. I think that's there. to everybody. There we go. So that's in there now. All right, let's bring us home. So again, first of all, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for your time. I know an hour and a half to carve out of your schedule is not easy to do, but we're very thankful to have you here today. Thankful as well to Ben and Steve from ScreenMeet, as well as Heather, who is not on the call, but she helped out with a lot of our efforts to make this collaboration happen. So thank you all. This is the first time we did a partnership like this, or personally, I've done it. We'll look to keep doing this in the future if you're getting value out of it, just kind of delivering that better together story, right? Whether it's ServiceNow and partners or ServiceNow and customers, we want to collaborate when and where possible as much as possible. So with that, thank you all, folks. We have about 5 minutes left here. If anybody wants to come off of mute and verbally share some questions, comments, or feedback, please do raise your hand and we'll take you off mute. So we got some brave folks in here, so please feel free. This is your time now. Just ask anything that's top of mind. Let's see, Q&A. Thank you for some feedback in the chat. Got 100 people still on here, so I think maybe we got some brave folks. Anybody want to come off mute and ask us anything that's top of mind? It is being recorded, but we'll be open and transparent. Nikhil, you had something there? I saw you come off mute. Anything you wanted to share?
Yeah, Matt has raised his hand if you want.
Okay. Yeah, let me see where I got to see this. Okay, so I think participants got it. Okay, Matt, please, Matt, would you like to ask us? I think you should be able to talk. I think you just have to unmute. Okay, Matt, are you there? Matt, I think, what is it? Matt Worley? No worries. Anybody else would like to ask us anything? And feel free to keep using the Q&A. We got a bunch of folks still here with us, so thank you for hanging around. Any other people going to Knowledge? That's another cool one as well, right? That's coming up in 2 weeks. So hopefully we'll see many of you customers there. And a ScreenMeet will be there with their own booths. My team and I will be there. We have a presentation with one of our customers the first morning, Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. at the Win. And then the colleague of mine, we are doing a lab on Thursday. Some of these things may be full, but just keep an eye on them because they tend to open up. The lab on Thursday, everything you saw here in the demo, the idea is that lab, we're going to empower you to configure everything that we showed you in the demo. So then again, you can go back to your organizations and you guys can be the heroes that show how your organization can innovate. I can't unmute. Let me try for you there, Joe. James, good to see you'll be there. You guys can't unmute. Interesting. Let me try here. So James, interesting. Janet, any ideas about this one? Is there anything tricky that we need to?
I've had problems with it once before as well. See if you can unmute all.
Okay. It's in the panelist, mute all, unmute all. It says mute all. Yeah, okay. More.
Might not be able to.
Ask all to unmute. Let's see how that turns out. How about now? Anybody?
I know that went out to the panelists because I just got that, but
Okay. Let me see here. Allow attendees.
I think they did mention that because it's a webinar format, they don't have the ability to mute or talk. Even
Okay. Okay. That's a good catch. Well, apologies, folks, for that one. We will get that sorted for next time. But anybody who had any future questions, feel free to reach out to us, whether it's ServiceNow email, connect with us on LinkedIn. That's where we also share a lot of our upcoming sessions where you can stay in the loop. And if anybody here wants to see a demo similar to this, a roadmap presentation, please reach out to your account team with ServiceNow and they'll get in touch with us and we'll be happy. I have many of my outbound and inbound colleagues here. We're all very excited to work with you on any of the challenges you're facing or aspirations you have with SOW. So we got about a minute, 2 minutes left. We'll just keep it open. We got people dropping, some people hanging around. We got some Q&A. Apologies, folks, for the audio part there.
Yeah,
Mike's
please just put a quick note in chat and then we can discuss your question.
Yeah, Mike's got one here. The announcements in SOW, how easy are they to consume by other systems? We aren't using Employee Center to display them natively. Okay. Well, there's two things here, Mike. So announcements on the SOW landing page, if I had more time, I would show you really quickly what that looks like. I actually might have an instance I could spin up and show you from a lab we're working on. But the idea, I think the most useful thing is like training, right? When there's upcoming training, we all have to do it, compliance, HR, ServiceNow upskilling. You can post a banner on the SOW homepage so that when your agents log in, it persists there until they've completed that training. So that's one option. You're not using Employee Center, so at the moment, our communication management from a major incident, that's the main place we're posting it, but we are also working on a status page within ServiceNow, which that should be coming a part of your standard licensing. So that's in our roadmap. That should help you without having Employee Center, have a place to post, similar to how AWS does it, right? There's one web page where it has all your services by different IT teams. People can subscribe via the virtual agent to receive notifications. So that's there. With that, though, folks, I think we're at time, and I want to be respectful of your time with the rest of your day. So again, thank you very much for joining us all. We're all happy to be here, and thank you for being engaging and contributing to the Q&A and the polls. And hope to see you at Knowledge. And if not, then we'll see you next time on one of these sessions. And have a great rest of your day and week. Take care. Thank you.